Hey guys, this is your girl Shenaye, and I'm here with my girl Alyssa, and we're here to give you 10 tips to grow long, healthy, thick, beautiful locks. Let's get into it.
Tip number 1, take it easy on your roots. When you have locks, you want to try not to retwist so often. In the beginning of your lock journey, you're going to have to retwist more often because you may have some unraveling and you may have some locks come out. But as your locks start to mature, you do want to stretch out the time intervals between your next retwist. So in my opinion, I think you should at least try to go 6 weeks in between retwists, but if you can push it longer than that, then go for it. The longer you stretch out the time between your retwists, the better. This will be really good for your locks and it'll help them be thicker. And in the long run, it will benefit your hair and your hair will be healthier because of it.
Tip number 2, make sure that in your regimen, you have a perfect combination for you of a carrier oil and an essential oil. Your carrier oils are things like castor oil, olive oil, or even coconut oil. And those really give your hair shine and is really like moisturizing for your hair. Your essential oils are going to do special things like promote hair growth. They're also going to have antibacterial properties, antimicrobial properties, oils like tea tree oil or peppermint oil. So, yeah, your carrier oils also help condition your hair. So that's why you want a perfect combination of the two. They do two different things and ultimately they work together to promote hair growth.
Tip number 3, stick to a regimen that works for your hair. So once you find products that work for your hair, that moisturize your hair really well, or you just fall in love with them, stick with those products. You don't want to keep switching it up and buying new things to test it out. Whatever you find that works for your hair, stick with it. So like for me, I started using rose water and black Jamaican castor oil on my locks, and that is all I have been using since I started my locks because that is what works for me. So whenever you find that regimen, stay with it and stay consistent with it, and there's no need to go buying a whole lot of different products. When you find what works for you, stick with that.
Tip number 4, make sure that you're drinking water, okay? And also with drinking water, make sure that we are eating the right types of foods. And when I say the right types of foods, I'm talking about nutrient-rich foods. Foods that are going to promote hair growth, they're going to promote sebum production, promote collagen production. Collagen is a protein in our hair that, you know, helps it keeps its structure and it helps our hair stay really strong. So some of the foods that have vitamins A, E, C, antioxidants are things like spinach, eggs, nuts, fatty fish, and nuts and seeds are great sources of omega-3 fatty acids, and that promotes hair growth as well. So yeah, a perfect combination of water and a nutrient-rich diet that will promote the growth and health of our hair from the inside out is key.
Tip number 5, keep styling and manipulation to a minimum. So when you have locks, you don't want to be in your hair all the time getting all these different types of styles because it'll pull on your edges, and in the long run it'll make your locks thinner over time. So you want to try not to get styles so often, and it's okay to have your hands in your hair, but don't overdo it because you want your locks to be able to breathe and you don't want to do too much. So if you want to get a style here and there, it's okay. Just try not to get a style every time you get a retwist, and try not to be in your hair so much.
Tip number 6, if you're into it, just freeform. Freeforming is great because it requires low manipulation. You're not touching your hair too much. You're just letting your hair grow in its natural state. This is like the most natural form of locks. And so you'll see that people who have freeformed locks, their roots are very thick, their locks themselves are very thick, and their hair is pretty healthy because they're not touching it a lot, they're not manipulating it a lot, they don't retwist a lot. So that's why you'll see that people who freeform have really thick hair, and even people who semi-freeform. So I know like sometimes people will retwist probably like once or twice a year, and then the rest of the time they're just freeforming. So that's an option if you're into it.
Tip number 7, do your research. And when I say do your research, this is from the products that you use in your hair to the person that you choose to go to as your loctician. You want to always do your research no matter what it is. If it's a shampoo, if it's an oil, whatever, do your research, look at reviews, see how it has affected other people. A lot of times you can save yourself by seeing what other people say about products or dyes and things like that. You especially want to research dyes and just look up how things will affect your locks, how different products will affect your hair. Make sure you pay attention to ingredients that are in products. When you're looking for a loctician, make sure you look at reviews. Don't just go to someone because they have nice pictures on Instagram. You really have to do your research, because at the end of the day, it's your hair and you want your hair to be healthy and you want your hair to grow.
Tip number 8, be sure to wrap your hair at night with either a satin scarf or a satin bonnet, or you can even get like a satin pillowcase. So this is important because we really don't want to let the moisture out of our hair if we don't have to. So having that satin bonnet or satin silk scarf on will allow us to keep that moisture in our hair, and it will also prevent a lot of damage to our hair, because when we sleep we kind of rub our hair off on the surfaces, and we don't want that. And also if we do wear our satin bonnet and silk scarf, we'll find that we might have less lint in our hair from picking up on different materials that may be on our pillowcases as well.
Tip number 9, don't have too many expectations when starting your lock journey. It is okay to be inspired and to look up to other people for their locks or how their journey is going, but just don't go into it having too many expectations, expecting your hair to look this way or to start budding at a certain time or to do this or to do that. Nobody knows how their lock journey is going to go. Nobody knows what their locks are going to end up looking like. You kind of just have to take it day by day, just go with the flow and let what happens happen, and don't put so much energy into what you want your locks to look like, because everybody's set of locks is unique. So you just need to embrace your own set of locks and then just go from there. Just don't put too many expectations. It's fine to have goals for your hair, certain ways that you hope your hair looks down the road, but don't put so much focus and energy into what you expect it to look like or what you expect the journey to be like. And also, please do not compare yourself to others. Like I said, it's okay to look up to others, but do not compare your journey, because your journey is your journey and nobody else's, and you should just leave it at that. Comparison is the thief of joy, and you do not want to be on this lock journey unhappy. Trust me. This time for you should be happy. It should be a time of celebration, because you're embracing who you really are. You're embracing your natural self. So do not compare and do not set too many expectations when it comes to your locks.
Tip number 10, be patient. People with locks have lots of patience, because we're gonna need it. Your hair is gonna take some time to lock, and you just want to embrace that process, embrace all of the phases that this journey has to offer. I say there is no ugly phase. Once you're patient and you appreciate it, it's gonna be great.